Good morning and welcome to the Bowling University studio from the International Bowling Campus in Arlington, Texas. I'm Kelly Bednar and I'll be your host for this edition of the Bowling University Tuesday Morning Profit Break. Thank you for joining us. The Tuesday Morning Profit Break is an opportunity for sharing insights on how to grow your revenue, reduce costs, and enrich yourself, your team, and your business. Welcome to the new viewers and welcome back to those of you joining us again. Thank you for taking the few minutes out of your busy day because we have another great show ready for you to share for today's show. Grab your coffee, your favorite morning beverage, and let's get started improving your profitability. Today, we have joining us Bart Berger, our Director of Membership and Educational Services for here with us at the BPAA. As a veteran in the industry, we just have to say he's been with us 30 plus years. He's been doing everything from catching ball returns and serving nachos all the way up to overseeing operations for centers both domestically and internationally with the Brunswick Corporation. This experience makes him one of our most valuable assets to the BPAA, and bringing you today's topic is increasing guest frequency. Bart?
Thank you, Kelly, and good morning, everybody, and thank you to all of you taking a few moments there. I don't know about one of the best, but I am pretty good at serving nachos, so let's get started there. Today we're going to talk about increasing guest frequency. And let me just start out by saying that this morning, this topic and this session we're going to go through is designed, it's a bit of a train-the-trainer session. It's designed for those of you that are charged with teaching this to others. So we're going to equip you with some tools to help you teach others how to grow that guest frequency, okay? So let's get started this morning. Now, I always like to remind everybody, if you've joined us in one of our previous episodes, we talk about this, but I want to mention it in case you're a first-time viewer. There are only 3 ways to grow revenue, no more, no less. Doesn't really matter what type of business you're in. This applies to us as well, all business well. And just as a reminder, we can get a new guest to visit us for the first time. That's acquisition. We do that through creating trial. We can get a current guest to come back and see us again. That's building frequency, getting that guest to improve their frequency. And the third way is to increase the guest spend, the amount that the guests spend with you each time they visit you. And we call that the check average. And I always like to point out that when I speak about increasing the spend of the guests, I'm not talking about price increase. So price increase obviously is a way that if you execute that strategy, it will in fact increase the spend, because if I visit you one day and bowling is $4.49 a game, and I happen to come see you 30 days later and it's $4.99 a game, obviously the average check will go up. And there's nothing wrong with that, but for purposes of this, what we're talking about is upselling. How do I provide you a great guest experience? And with that, how do I upsell? And if your average spend with me is $18, how do I enhance that experience and upsell you and make that a $20 spend? And doing that will certainly increase your revenue. So this is really the baseline. We have to understand this before we can move on to understanding how to increase the frequency there. So creating trial through acquisition, getting the guest to come back to see us again through frequency, and then having a great guest experience and increasing that check average. Those are our 3 ways to grow. So this is your market area. And your market, no matter how big or how small, most of the data shows that guests that visit us primarily come within a 30-minute drive time. In fact, most of the industry data shows that 80 to 85% of your market, of your revenue, will come from guests within that 20 to 30-minute range. Doesn't mean that you don't have a few guests that drive outside of 30 minutes, but I would share and think about your own examples, where you shop for retail, where you go to frequent for restaurants. My guess is that for most of you and most of us, it's in that 20 to 30-minute range. So that's our market area. We define that in that 30-minute circle there. So let's talk a second about this bowler life cycle, because it's critical as a reminder on how to get to our next stage, which is increasing the frequency there. What we teach to here at the university is this thing we call the bowler life cycle. And if you understand where the guest is in their experience with bowling, it really helps you and your team match the guest to the appropriate product. And today, we want to understand those stages, and we cover that in an episode specifically designed for the bowler life cycle. But it's a reminder for the rest of us that we need to understand those different stages. Now, look, you can't put everybody in a nice, tidy little box. We don't work like that. But understanding this life cycle for you, and ultimately having the people that you're responsible for understand, will will give you a targeted approach for growing your revenue, because every person, that market that I showed you, every person fits somewhere on that bowler life cycle. So if you're seeing this for the first time, I'd encourage you to review it. If not, let's continue to move forward and let's talk about increasing that frequency that we want. So the question always becomes, we start off with, if you're going to get a guest to come see you more often, is, why don't we sell more? And there's a couple of reasons. We talked about those two ways to grow frequency with any guest. The bedrock is we want to provide a great guest experience. So for purposes of this morning, I'm going to make the assumption that all of you out there are doing a fantastic job and you're providing that great guest experience. That has to be the premise first and foremost for them to come back and see you again. We've got some great resources, some great Profit Break episodes on the guest experience, but we are going to let's work with the fact that you're already doing that. But the other way to get them to come back is the obvious one, is we have to ask them. Right? You have to ask for the sale. You have to ask the guest to come back and see you. So it begs the question, why don't we ask for the sale? And there are a couple of reasons we just have to be honest with. Most of us, including myself, are not natural-born salespeople. I love sales folks. They're just wired differently, right? I have some great friends that are in sales. They're just wired differently. But for most of us, we love people, we love interaction, but we don't consider ourselves salespeople. No one likes rejection. And sales, while something that's very important to our economy, really kind of has a negative connotation. If you think about a salesperson, it has a negative connotation. It shouldn't, but it does. So we have to think about and understand, why don't we ask people for the sale? Why don't our frontline folks do it? It's because we don't consider our sales folks. We don't like rejection. Hey, and guess what? Sales has a negative connotation. So let's understand that as kind of our baseline. So the program I want to share with you today is what we refer to as START IT. Okay? That's the acronym that we teach to allow you to understand, and then for you to teach your frontline team how to ask for the sale. And in doing that, let's talk quickly about kind of the old school of marketing and the new school of marketing. Old school, and this is what I was a part of. For Kelly mentioned all the years that I've been in the business, been blessed to be 30 plus years in the industry, is we'd develop a program, we'd make a flyer, and if we asked enough people, somebody sooner or later would say yes. Or even if we didn't ask enough people and we set the flyer out on the counter, if enough people saw it, somebody would take us up and do that. It was really just, shotgun marketing, appealing to the masses, throw it up against the wall, something's going to stick. It worked, nothing wrong with it at that time, but things have changed. Now we have to do the new school of marketing, which is what we refer to as our target marketing. We want to match the right product to the right guest, depending where they are in the life cycle, and we use this acronym or this tool that we've developed for you, the START IT. Understand this. Making a guest conform to your product is no longer a long-term viable marketing strategy. Let me say that again because it's critical. Making a guest conform to your product is no longer viable. You have to conform the product to where the guest is and meet them. It's all supply and demand and simple economics, and those that understand that are really on the road to recovery much faster than those that don't. So let's talk about what the START IT is here, okay? So the START IT is the acronym that we use to sell there, and I'm going to show with you in just a few seconds here some resources that we have available. But one of the tools that we've developed for you to have for your frontline folks is what we refer to as this guest engagement how-to guide. And what you're seeing on the screen now is really a template. We've developed this template here for our casual guest, and we have resources available. We've built a blank template for you to be able to customize for each one of the life cycles. So if you are focusing a program on an avid bowler, we've got a template for that. If you're focusing a program on a frequent casual, we've got a program for that. If you have and all through the 5 different life cycles, we've developed this for you. So this resource really is the FAQ, right? The frequently asked questions. It's all the things that your team needs to know to be able to adequately match this product to the guest there, right? It's the who, where, why, when, and all the details are there for you. So in this example, we have taken a product that we want to use. It's called the Lousy Bowlers Club, and we've targeted towards that casual bowler, that person that comes 1 to 4 times a year. And we've taken all the information that is available for the program and put it on this FAQ, or this guest engagement how-to guide for your folks. And old school, what we used to do is, and I was guilty of this, and not that anything was wrong, it's how we operated then, is we would take the flyer for the Lousy Bowler Club, we would give it to the staff and say, hey, memorize this, it has everything you need to know, go sell and go start a Lousy Bowlers Club. What we're doing here is we're giving the team member all the information they need, and then the flyer is just a piece of that because it doesn't have all the information you need to be able to get started and match that guest there. Okay, so those are the templates that help you to match the program with the guest and where they are. So we've got some incredible resources for you that were developed. They're all on bowlinuniversity.net. We've got the guest engagement toolbox. There are wallet cards and web resources if you have an intranet, not internet, that you can use there. There are posters and flyers. In fact, I've got a couple here with me on set today that I just want to show you and review. I've got a little wallet card that I've used here. These I can print these up. It's the Start It program. It walks the team member through it, and this is kind of my memory jogger, right? That I can put at the counter. I can use for the team members as I'm training them. We have full posters that we've made available for you that are print ready that are on there. And let's walk through what this started is quickly so you can see kind of what those steps are. So the S is show your smile. T is tell them hello. A is ask about their visit. R is read the guest and identify where they are in the life cycle. And then T is tell them what we have. The I for it is invite them back. We want to put something in their hands, and then we want to thank them for coming. And that really is the start it, is how we do that. And all of these things are very teachable. They're things that once you define what those strategies are and what those standards are, you can teach those. You can hold people accountable to those. So those resources are available for you in a lot of different places that you can use for the guest experience there. So I always like to remind folks that we've got a couple of great resources there for you. We have a course built specifically for you if you're in that leadership role. That's increasing the guest frequency. That's designed to walk you through this. It takes you to a much, much deeper level on the Starter program, how to teach it, understanding what it is. And then equally as important, we've developed another course for you online, Increasing Guest Frequency. This would be the course that you would then have all of your team members go through. It doesn't give them the backstory and kind of the who, what, where, why, when like it does for you. What it does is it teaches them how to execute on these strategies. So both of those resources are available. I always like to remind everybody they're on the online on-demand program. We've got great boot camps that happen around the country. You can learn more by attending one of our programs at the management school as well. So Kelly, a lot of opportunity through different touch points for them to come learn more.
Absolutely. Well, I've got a question though. You had mentioned in there that it seems like this startup program would be good for helping your whole team grow customer service. Was that the intent?
You know, that's a great insight and a great ad, and I'm glad you caught that because it really was. You know, it really starts the road to service standards. And again, we've got some great content both on the episodes here and in our other resources on how to develop service standards. But this is the start of service standards. It's the start it. So, you know, think about it. If we can tell folks, if we can smile, tell them hello, ask about their visit, even if we don't get them to engage in the program, we're providing a great guest experience, and there is a very high probability that they are going to come back and see us again. So if the worst thing that happens is if we tell someone hello, we smile, acknowledge them, and hope they had a great visit, and wish them, invite them back, that's not a bad thing. Best case scenario is we engage them into one of our products and they join us as a regular guest.
Great. Well, thank you, Bart, for your insight, and thank you for teaching us how to tell them how to say hello. As we wrap up another edition of the Bowling Tuesday Morning Profit Break, remember that when your focus is on growing your people, people will grow your business. We look forward to seeing you next week at 10:15 Eastern for another great episode of the Tuesday Morning Profit Break, now that I can spit it out correctly. If you have any other questions about today's show or would like to have additional information, you can reach us at any time at education@bpaa.com. Also, you and your team can watch any of our previous episodes 24/7 by visiting bowlinguniversity.net. Until then, I'm Kelly Bednar, and do for one that you wish you could do for everyone. See you next week.